Welcome back to NBA Cinema. So, guys, I want to talk about a topic I see going viral on social media right now as Kiyan Anthony was snubbed from the McDonald's All American game. He was the number one ranked player in the state of New York, 6'6" guard, going to Syracuse, son of, a future Hall of Fame player in the NBA, Carmelo Anthony. And obviously, this has started up the conversations about Bronny's ascension in the rankings, seemingly out of nowhere when he was in high school. Now, Bronny didn't play bad, in the showcases, but there was an element there that you saw him play with politics where um, someone like Simeon Wilcher, who ended up at St. John's, probably was right on the cusp of making an All American game, but Bronny, he moved from 40s, 50s, 60s up to the top 20, just in line in time for him to make the McDonald's All American game, right? And people saying it's good optics to have LeBron courtside at the McDonald's All American game. Always been a business, right? Not making this a diss to Bronny or Bron, but people are now talking about Kion not making the All American game, and none more notably than his father. Let's check it out.
The McDonald's All-American game roster was announced, and the number one ranked player in New York was noticeably absent.
Anthony family once again gets jerked. They jerked us.
Melo was so hot, he didn't even text me back when I asked.
This team been set for 4 years now, since freshman year. They start playing in all the games together. They start traveling together.
It's very political.
I think he deserved to make it. No bias. I think he really put the work in and really deserved to be a McDonald's All-American. Because of his journey and because of his trajectory and how his development went. A kid who played freshman basketball his freshman year to becoming the number one player in the state of New York. That should mean something itself.
I was hot.
I'm gonna tell you what I was even hotter about. I did the McDonald's deal.
I ain't gonna lie, I saw that commercial the other day too.
I'm like, oh, this is a wrap. I'm being kind of a little optimistic as shit. Then I'm like, nah, they gonna jerk him. This was early, like, nah, they gonna jerk him. Every day, 20, 25, this, that. He hasn't lost a game since. One game in the championship, Scholastic Championship against Lincoln Academy. They the number 3 team in the country. Like, what are we sitting here talking about? How? That's my perspective on it. I think he got jerked. I think he deserved it. I think there's a couple other kids who actually deserved it as well. No knock to the kids that's there, but what's the criteria now? You're winning against these guys. What does it mean? And this is the first time in a long time that the number one player in the state of New York, a top 30 kid, didn't make the McDonald's All-American game. It ain't about the game. Yeah, he missed the game, but it's like the lesson in that. Don't stop working. Just because you don't get what you want, don't stop working.
It's a part of his story now.
Then it becomes, we don't need a score. He's just a scorer. And I'm like, oh, damn. So he's getting penalized early for doing something very, very good.
Wait, if you don't need a score, what do you need? You need a defender in the McDonald's game?
He's a lockdown defender. This is no I laugh at like, damn, you locking up. He locks down.
I think it's a good thing ultimately, man.
I told him, I said, look, and sometimes it's a fine line because he could be like, yo, dad, but damn, you was a number one player. You made McDonald's game. You did this and you did. And I'm like, it's different than the politics that you have to deal with today. The fact that I was a number one player and I had all of that and I built that, you have to deal with some of that today. It's inevitable. I'm speaking for all the kids. What is the criteria in this?
Kind of like how Melo phrased that. I've been thoroughly impressed with Kiyan Anthony, to be honest with you. He's one of those guys that we've watched develop right in front of our eyes. His growth spurt, we saw the ball handling skills come. We saw the athleticism start to develop. The shooting has been there for a while, but now we're seeing him shoot it in people's face. We saw him go up to the NBPA top 100, put up some big some big scoring outputs amongst the top players. So he's done everything that you needed to do to position yourself for the McDonald's All-American game. Top 30 player, top player in New York not represented in the McDonald's All-American game. That seems a little bit crazy when you look at it. But, I know the comparisons would come with Bronny. But, just looking at it for me personally, I just think Kion should have made it. It ain't even about Bronny. It's not a conversation about Bronny that I'm seeing online. Unless, you kind of want to talk about the politics in it. But there's other politics too. Like if a kid is going to Duke and then another kid chooses SMU, but he's a top kid. Sometimes, they may take him, but sometimes that may kind of push him out and they'll pull another kid in that's going to go sit the bench at Duke, that first year for the most part. And So there's always been politics, and there's level to politics, and I know people are highlighting this because we've seen, in the last few years, Bronny and now Kiyan coming out, and Melo and LeBron will always be looped together. And it's funny how that's happening again, right? We having the comparisons with their sons, just talking about, the McDonald's All American game and that whole path. It seemed like just yesterday we were talking about Melo and LeBron and them being rookies and Melo being a year older than Bron in the 2002 class, Bron being in the 2003 class and all that. But now we're talking about their kids. Isn't that something for us that's made it that long? But I like that Melo said that you can use this opportunity to develop your game. They're saying you just a scorer. You don't lock up. That may be why you didn't get in the game. Okay, that's good. I need that. And because I'm going to a situation at Syracuse in a rebuild, first year without, first, a little bit without Coach Boeheim being there. I don't know if this is the first or second year without Boeheim, but they're in transition. I need to be a complete player. I need to get after it on both ends of the court. I'm known for my scoring prowess, but I want to show that I'm that defender. I'm that guy because this won't matter um when we get between them lines next year. Okay, every guy that made it, we get a matchup. I want to be within the flow of the game, but I also want to show that I should have been there. I should have been amongst, the elite of the elite. Like Melo said, they're number 3 in the nation. Kiyan is the top player in the state. There's nothing to talk about with that as far as his McDonald's All American status. He should have had it. And, just for optics, right? You get Melo and Lala sideline. I mean, it don't even make business sense for him not to make uh, the McDonald's All American game, for this year. But, he is every bit of the player that should be or have a spot in contention for that game. So again, man, we gonna see what Kion does with this, how he internalizes this. He played freshman basketball as a freshman. That's not typically the path you see for a McDonald's All American. Typically, not saying it never happens, but typically those guys at the very least are starting out, dropping 20 something a night on JV right away and moved up to varsity during the season. That's typically the path, but most of the time they just start out on varsity right away, and they are starting or the sixth man right away as a freshman in high school. That's typically their path, but seeing Kion's game come together, man, Syracuse is getting them a good one, and he has the look of a guy who can play in the NBA. It'll be interesting to see how many years he stays in school, what his path to the NBA looks like, because he has positional size. If certain things come together for him, he could be a one and done, two and done, or. So we don't know how that's gonna go, but I do want to know what you guys think about this conversation. I knew it was gonna get here, but I just kind of wanted to talk about Kion after seeing what people was talking about online. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.